Can you see?
I do that all the time.
Okay, Preble.
Let's switch. Sorry. Why is it blurred?
Background.
I don't think I had a background, but let's see. Meeting settings.
Maybe the focus, or maybe it's a bit fuzzy. Like, did you try wiping the lens?
It was clear just a moment ago. Well, shoot.
Oh, it's definitely a background. Your fingers looked funny.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't set that, but we'll find
Interesting,
there.
like
I
your
see a
fingers
background.
were-
Okay, none. I thought I said.
There we go. All right.
Okay, all right. So sorry about that. Okay, so if you can see me talking, you can see my paints are in behind me, but I'm gonna bring them forward. And
You need to flip your screen.
what I did for I have shelves behind me. I don't know if you can see them because what I'm showing, we're spotlighting my desk. What I did for paints is I use boxes, and these boxes are cigar boxes. They're just a brand somebody gave me. And what I do with them is I set them on their side. And the reason for that is so I can see all of them together. But one thing I decided I needed to do was add some sort of something to make it tilt. So sitting up straight, you can see you pull one out and then you pull another one out and then you're more likely they're going to fall out. So that's why I decided to add just some scrap wood. And I may end up actually gluing it to the bottom, and I may actually add a third layer, but the point being is just to give it a little tilt. So even though I can still see it from the front, I do have the them all of them so I can see them. This is a cheap way to display them all and see them all at once. The other thing that I did is added paint to the lids. Now when it's like black or this gold, the color, I still add it, but it's not as clear, not as obvious what the actual color is. So you could add white labels, and I did write on them, but you can see that it's starting to discolor. This is a Sharpie. So what I may go back and do is actually add the color on the white part of it. And really it wasn't important that I wrote the name on it. It's just something that I thought I might be, interested in. Usually I can't read it anyway, so I'm not really worried about it. But anyways, that's how I organize paints. I have 6 of these. And this, I really like this setup. And they're just sitting on wire shelves, but any shelves would work. So are we doing paints and beads together, or do you want to split it?
Let's split it.
Okay, then come back to me for
Yes,
beads
please.
at
Right.
later time.
Okay, and now I gotta find you again, and you can see behind her the paint, all the paint boxes and the
Oh,
different
yeah.
colors and everything.
Yeah.
All right, Katie.
Hello. So I don't have nearly as many paints as a lot of you do. So for me, storage is not a huge issue. But what I decided to do was buy some rather inexpensive spice racks off of Amazon. And I just put them on the wall. That way I can have one of each color out, and they're color coordinated. So you've got your whites and yellows, your reds, your orange, purples, greens, all of your fancy stuff that's bronze and gold and shiny, and then browns, blacks, blues. And then I also have my gallery glass stuff. And next door on shelves, those are not nearly as nicely organized, but we've got all of the assorted varieties of different size containers that don't fit, plus oils. But I found that the spice racks I really like. It kind of gives it a fun look, and it makes it a lot easier for me to get a hold of. But like Preble, I have a spot on the front of them or on the tops of them. That way I actually know what color it's going to dry as, because that certainly is always a problem.
Right.
That's all from me.
Okay. And gallery.
Okay, what I had was organizing beads, but it's not only beads, but whatnots. I've got, let's see, started out with something like this.
Just
Oh,
a
we're
minute.
just
can't
doing
find
paint. We're just doing paints, aren't we?
Oh,
Just doing paints right now?
Okay, so if anybody else has paints,
I put my thing I put my name in the chat for paints.
Yeah, and your next, Barbara. So you don't have anything on paints, gallery?
no,
Okay.
beads, yes.
We'll come
Okay.
back to you then.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Barbara.
Okay, I do use these, okay, can you see that?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, wow.
So I have these boxes. They look like this originally. And I actually have 6 of them, but I only have 4 of them in the picture. And what I've got these boxes from Hofcraft, but Hofcraft has now gone out of business. And I don't know, there is another company. Somebody said somebody else sells these, but if anybody knows that, where that is, put that in the chat for people to know. But you could search for paint storage boxes anyway, or you can make them. I think Anne made her own. Didn't you make your own, Anne? She's not listening, is she?
Yeah.
Wake up, Anne. Anyway, somebody has made them themselves.
No,
Anyway.
I have not made them, but
Oh,
I've
it
seen
wasn't
where they
you.
sell the metal part, and then you can just make the wooden frame.
Did you find where they can get the metal part?
No,
Oh,
but when
okay.
I was looking and buying mine a couple years ago, I saw the metal part, but
Yeah,
I
you
wa-
can get them at Target. They're in a pack of,
Yeah,
you
they're
know, I
made
don't
for
know how many.
sports ball storage.
For what?
Oh, okay.
Sports balls, you know, like soccer balls and baseballs. You put them together, it's enough to make a 5-sided cube.
Well, I have some that I actually use in my kitchen cabinet, but they don't have this small a size.
No, this is
square.
exactly the size. This was made, this grid is for paints,
Yeah.
but they did sell them for that. But anyway, and I have gone through now, and these red ones here with the label, I have labeled all my paints with my labelers. So I have the name on them because I do want to know the names of my paints. So I just wanted to show you that, and these can hang on the wall or they can sit on a shelf. These that were hanging on the wall were at my old house. Now I have them just sitting on a shelf. But anyway, so that's how I store my paints. And you can see there's 2 layers of grids here. There's not just in the front, there's another layer in the back because it has to hold it up all the way through. So if you wanted to make them, that would be you could do that too. Okay, that's my paint storage.
Okay.
You can find some on Amazon that have holes drilled into a plate, but I haven't purchased them. They were about the same price as the ones that Barbara was showing. They're just not, they don't have wire. They're like a thin wood.
Yeah. These were not cheap. I
Right.
mean, they were close. I think they were over $40 each. So I bought them a couple at a time over several years. So
They're
Yeah.
they're on Amazon. They're on Amazon for $68.
Mm,
Those, oh, really? Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, and
But
it
the
looks
wire
just like
ones,
yours. It looks like hers, like Barbara's.
oh, okay.
Like fine. Okay, so they do have them on there. Okay.
okay.
That's more than
Anyone
I
else?
need.
Anyone else with paints? How they store paints?
I forgot something, but Marcia, I want to just show.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Spotlight me person.
Okay.
So I used to use these boxes. And I'm still using them for these paints because I can fit more in here. The reason why I decided to go from this to the cigar boxes was on a regular size acrylic paint, you can only put 6 bottles in there. And I also felt like I was wasting the space of this shelf, that when I switched to doing them this way, what I did is in behind these is I put those priority boxes, all of them which are used. I don't you see I tape together. This is for extras. But it also works as a spacer. That's all I had to show extra. But we can switch over to my other camera and I can show beads if we're ready.
Okay, and again, if you have something to show
Oh,
with
wait,
or
there's,
bead, put your name in the
Jackie-
chat
Is
box.
there anybody else for?
Jackie,
I've got
Jackie
something.
Wilson says Williams.
I've got one.
Okay,
May I? May I
Jackie-
join in?
Jackie Williams.
Ice
wait,
cream
Jackie-
boxes, English, free.
Oh,
Well, you have to eat the ice cream first.
There you
That's
go.
terrible. And
yeah.
I put a finger pinch on the top with the colours. I just dip my finger into the lids, which is very lazy, but it works. And
Good
that's
way-
and they're greens, I think, aren't they? I can't
Yep.
read it, but I get
Yes.
my daughter to get it down. And I've got all the different colours stacked. They can go 3 high on a shelf. They still work.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That costs nothing, except the ice cream, of course.
Okay, Jackie Williams. And you're muted.
Okay.
There.
This is the way that I have them up here at the moment, some of them. I have the wire thing, but it's downstairs. So this is what I did when I changed locations in the house. I got one of these at Hobby Lobby probably. And I found that a lot of my paints could fit in here, just like that. And they sit over on a shelf. And then close to me, on another little shelf closer to me, I have these that I use all the time. They're the ones that I use the most often of the colors.
Mhm.
And they sit in a shelf and a little table right beside me that has little shelves. And that's how I am doing the paints that aren't in my wire contraption that goes around and around that I bought at Hobby Lobby years ago. That's it.
All right.
I have a question. With storing your paints, do you also have to be careful of temperature extremes, or, you know, like if it gets cold, does it damage the paint, or if it gets too hot, it may
Yes.
damage the paint?
Yes.
Okay.
The main thing is separation, and you know, if you just shake them, Laura was saying at one time that we need to shake them for a lot longer than we probably are. Because it will, as I mean, just sitting on the shelf in the store, those colors separate. That's one reason
Yeah.
why they will have a sale, is so that their paint is being rotated out and not sitting there. So yeah, they are. It's not gonna ruin them necessarily, but it will make them separate sooner.
Okay.
Does shaking them bring them back?
If you do it soon enough, yes.
It can.
Yeah.
I've
How did
had
it-
paints, I've had paints for years and years. I don't worry about heat and cold or anything. And I just shake them good before I go and use them. And they've almost always been good after years.
Yes, I tell you, on QC the other day, we had a lady come on, Jean Bondi, and she had bought this little device for herself for Christmas. And it was a paint shaker. I think she said it was about $100, but it was a gift for herself, to herself. And she uses it because she had managed, somebody had given her, I think, a great deal of supplies, and she had all of these old paints and she didn't want to throw them away. So she invested in the paint shaker to rejuvenate, and, mix her paints. And it was worth it to her to pay that much money to get a really good little tiny, it's on Amazon, and it's the price. I think they have different prices for those, and I've read about them, and some of them are not as good as others. And she said, I invested $100 to get a really good one. And they're paint shakers. That's what they do. They quickly, do a really
They
good job.
vibrate.
Like
They
you do
vibrate.
when you go to the paint store and they mix your paints. That's what the
Yeah, they vibrate.
purpose of it is.
Okay, in the
Wow.
chat box, Wanda, who is a paint expert, said that the yellow liquid. Wanda, do you want to explain, please? Are you here, Wanda? And maybe not.
What she
I don't-
wrote before that, Marcia, was paints
Yeah.
contain a little bit of antifreeze to
Right.
keep from freezing. And the yellowish liquid in the top of the bottle, when they start to separate, is that antifreeze.
Right.
Oh,
And C1 was saying that there's on YouTube, their videos on making your own paint storage containers.
Oh,
Oh, that would be good.
Good to know.
Shirley.
Usually if it's,
I'm here.
if it can make it or do it, it's on YouTube.
Oh, Wanda doesn't have audio. Okay. Shirley, you've got something about hint? Paint
Yeah,
storage.
when I buy paints, I've gone through and I write the name of the color on each one. And then I take a toothpick or something and put a little dot on each lid. So, when you're
Big
looking at the
fingerprint.
lid, you see exactly what the color is and the name of it.
Right. Okay, anyone else, anything about paint?
I have something. Well,
Okay.
this is my paint storage, and everything, of course, is color coordinated. And this whole row is green, green, green.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
Oh, you
this
got
whole row.
more green than
And
me.
so, but I mix some. So here's Hosta mix. So I write on there. Some of them have stiffener in it, like when you stiffen thread and things like that. But all the colors are coordinated. But the green, of course, I got the most.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, of course, I got some down here that I didn't put up. So, but I have some accent paints that's from the 1980s, and it's still good.
Yep.
But the Ceram Code and Americana but the Americana and all the other brands except for Ceram Code, to me, is the worst for drying up fast. But Ceram Code, it'll dry up, but it lasts longer than the rest of the brands, than Folk Art and all of that. But I like the Ceram Code colors. But they have changed. They do change them a little bit. Like my favorite is Seminole Green, like for leaves and everything. Well, they do change the formulas sometimes. When you used to having something, and that's why when you doing something, buy extra if it's a large project or something, like a house or something, because it may change.
I have had bottles, the bottles, the tube things, crack with age. They are about 40 years old, I grant you, but they have cracked. And when I tried to shake them, my hand's gone in and there's a split down the side.
Okay, anything else on paints?
I
Thing-
actually think that's kind of quick. I'm not out, but I also do ceramics. So I have a kiln. But if you guys ever deal with those kind of products, those you have to keep upright in their containers. There's no way that they stay sealed, like they just leak everywhere. But I hot glued a round piece that I fired and then I glazed it for every color of glaze I have. So you can see exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
Never remember. They're very similar descriptions.
Right.
I take my China paints that I paint my dolls with, and my husband, I have the rack that Celie and all them have, but I had a lot of very tiny bottles, very narrow round bottles. And my husband gave me the idea of using cartridge holders for, you know, like bullets and stuff like this. And they work perfectly. I have all my paints that were too small to fit into the rack are all in cartridge holders, different, you know, gauges and stuff. Well, some are shotgun and stuff like this, but they're all in those. So it works perfect.
It's good.
Kelly.
Yeah, could you, well, spotlight me and I'll try to share my
Yeah, as
screen
soon
right
as I
quick.
find you.
I'm somewhere in Georgia.
Well, yeah. I've got 2 pages to look through to find people. Oh, Lordy. Anyone, if Barbara, if you find her, there. Okay, good.
Can you see my photo?
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is the metal cart or storage things I was talking about. And these are at Target. And I bought mine where you get just 1 cube, but this one's what, 8 different cubes. And those black circles kind of just snap them together.
Oh.
So I use zip ties and kind of made my own little, I use it for paper storage. But anyway.
Yeah, I was using those too, and you have to zip tie them.
Yeah. See, so this is in my paper storage, but I was just trying to show you that a thing of paint would fit in there just perfectly if it was vertical.
I have those black snapping things, yeah, and they fall apart very easily.
No, I haven't had any problem, and I've moved them half a dozen times, and like I said, I got all my paper supplies on it, so they're heavy, so they've held up so far so good. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to show you, what I found.
Yes,
It's a good idea to get the grid, but you need something behind to hold it also. You need 2 layers of grid to hold
So
it.
you take these all apart. These come in.
You would have to, yes, you could. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they're just in 12-inch
good idea
pieces, and then zip time, and you can have as many as you need.
Oh, I had one more thing. This is
okay. Let's take this one off.
Okay.
All right.
This is the spray paint, and this is out here in the garage. And of course, it's cold out here right now, but it survives in the cold and the heat down in Tennessee, the hot and the cold. So, but this is all organized by color, all the spray paints, because I like Design Master spray paint to spray paint the paper for the flowers, because it dyes the paper. But like a lot of other spray paints, regular spray paint you get from anywhere, it's not gonna dye the paper. It's gonna sit, and it's gonna be thicker, and it's gonna sit on top. But the Design Master will go all the way through and dye the paper like a alcohol ink or something similar to that, like that. But and the paper doesn't get real thick or anything. So that's it.
Okay. Okay, same thing with beads.
So one thing I wanted to say, I don't know, I have not tried it, but with we were talking about the lady has something that shakes her paints up. Well, I'm thinking if you have appliances that hum or vibrate like a hand mixer, maybe you can turn that on and put the jar of paint next to it, and the vibration will go through the jar and through to the paint and mix it up that way.
Oh, and I think it's been mentioned on Zoom somewhere along the line about people putting little tiny marbles in their paint bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah, or BBs.
Yeah. Yes, there's some companies that with glass jars of paint, they'll have the little beads in them. But one thing I'm going to say about spray paints that have been stored out in the garage, I went back through and I tested to see if there were some that were clogged or did work or didn't work. Sometimes I would end up pulling the little top off and just putting it back on and then spraying it. It would maybe take a little bit, but the clog would pop out, but I would spray it until the true color of the paint would come out. So you have like your scrap paper or your a tarp that you're going to throw away. You can
Or a
pull
cardboard
down and
box,
spray
yeah,
it until you
whatever.
make sure you get the right, the true color.
Okay, anyone with bead storage suggestions, put your name in the chat box. And Kelly, no. Oh,
hang on.
Hey, I think your name was in there.
Yeah, I was in there too. But is it Kelly?
Katie.
Katie. Okay.
Oh,
Katie.
yeah, hi.
Okay.
Me again. So I am a queen of garage sales at name. Come and find me in Asheville if you didn't see me in Indy. But I am a sucker for these kind of containers. So I'm not big, I don't have a ton of beads per se, but I do have a crap ton of metal findings of various shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So I also have this little round dude, and it has a whole bunch of little compartments that all come off. So they're each individually colored with each individual design. And then I even went so far as to putting door hinges, knobs, brass tacks, watch pieces. Yeah, this entire one is all just different sized hinges. So I kind of have a problem with metal beads of variety. Yeah, so that's my fun stuff. I like the sealable containers because if I drop it on the floor, as long as the lid's on, I'm still good.
Right. Preble.
Okay, spotlight my phone again.
Okay, got it.
And wake up.
Okay, how come it's not giving me spotlight?
Yeah, it won't let me do it. There, now.
I don't know why it's not doing that.
There. Now see if you can see it.
Yeah, with the green pad.
Yep.
The table.
Oh, there. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So I have two boxes. This was envelopes, like your regular number 10, the bigger envelopes, like business size envelopes. And when I first started out with my beads, I was using a drawer and little container similar to what Katie just showed. And those are fine. There was two problems though that I personally had with it is that what I ended up doing is in my drawer, I basically made a puzzle for myself to make everything fit. And I was just using different containers, whatever they came in, and then, you know, some of those divided ones. But and then another one that I used was the pill containers, which I thought, oh, this is great. If they're little, you know, because I got all these little different ones and I could color coordinate them. But as Katie mentioned, as long as the lids stay on, everything's great. But if the lid is open, now the pill containers are better about that because they're individual ones. But if you have a bigger one, then obviously you don't want to spill the whole thing. So what I did is I realized I was saving these boxes, which I had gotten from work. I worked in a sample department and we weren't using them anymore. They've been sitting there and anyway, so I asked my boss if I could have them and I brought them home, and I'd had them for probably 5 or 6 years and not really using them. And I finally decided, what am I waiting for? Other than using them for swaps. And so I decided I would start using them in miniatures for my beads. So I have 2 different types of boxes. One are these little square ones. These are probably easier to find. They don't latch, where these latch. You can see how some of them I have the little white piece of paper in them. The white piece of paper helps to be able to see what the bead is. I have all of mine color coordinated based on size and then color. But to realize how many I collected is that I made trays. And these trays are just lids off of, they were actually for, if you remember inkjet transparencies, the things, the overhead projectors, we used to do that, use those, a lot of those for work back when before PowerPoint and all that, they would do that. So that's where I ended up getting them. But these, all this is a piece of cardboard that's folded up on 4 corners. 4 sides, and then I used paper tape just to make little handles so I could lift them out of the box. And these trays could literally be any size to fit any box. So you know, the photo boxes, they sell half boxes now, so you could make, you know, trays for that. As you can see, I do have other shapes. You know, these are those little bottles that came from Dollar Tree. These are how they came from these are eyelets, and can be used for different things. And again, color coordinated all the way down, down to that's the bottom. So I do have to, you know, to get to this bottom, I do have to lift out 4 trays. But if I were to throw this in the floor, I've got maybe 1 or 2 will pop open, but not the whole thing. So that's that, and I've actually not ever had that happen, thank God. But that's the way I do that. Now, what if your beads don't fit in these smaller size? Because these are thin. These are rather, I should say, not very thick. They're about maybe a 1/2 inch thick. So if you don't have, you know, you have beads that are bigger than that, I have a second box. And the second box I'm using basically the same process. And I covered these with contact paper, and that was just because they're plain blank white. So I wanted to just, you know, so that they weren't getting dirty and stuff. So this one you see is also a tray. But these are those dollar store, Dollar Tree containers, the wire. Here's a pack that I just threw in there just a couple of weeks or a week or so ago that I just finished. I will end up sorting through those and use those. I'm gonna take this out just to remind myself to show you one more thing. But okay, so this one comes out. And then below that I have, this is a bead tray. For sorting, this is kind of nice because it has these little lids that you screw off so you can pour out one side or another, and that way, if you pour out a whole bunch of beads, you can kind of sort those into the corner, and then the other sort into the other corner, and then pour them into your container. You can these are bigger boxes, so they fit here. So and it doesn't have to be boxes. This way of organizing could be done with just plastic bags. Buy a bunch of the little Ziploc bags and have them laid out so that you could sort and find what your color is. And then this is the bottom, and this is just kind of a mix of different things. Obviously it's not color coordinated. That's just because these are just ones I haven't I don't use as often. I don't have as many findings as what she was showing. But anyways, so there was one other thing I wanted to show. Let me get this out of the way. So see that? And you're like, well, in order to sort through these, I have this little thing that I use sometimes. It's just kind of nice to, so you can pick through them. So and that's another thing. Let me show you a tool, a second tool, and that is this thing. This is actually sold as a bead sorter or bead scoop. That's what it's called, Scoop Ease. It's Bead Smith Scoop Ease, EEZ. I use this for not just beads. Obviously you can use it for beads, but I also use it for landscaping material. I find it extremely helpful, but it's not like you couldn't make something like that with metal. But back to these tiny beads. These are those no hole or caviar beads, and I had them in a box like this. My cats knocked it off one day, so I had this big container, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put them in a different one because that one broke. I put them in this, so you see, this is these nice compression fit boxes. The only thing is that I was worried that they would, if I got knocked out, they'd pop off. So that's what the tape is for on the outside. But for working with these no-ho beads, I put a piece of double stick tape here, and then I can use my tweezers to grab them the color I want, as opposed to digging through, which I've done before. So that's my tip in addition to organizing, is using the the tape on the top on your lid to help with actually using those beads, because it's great to store them, but let's use them too. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Julie Beswick. And I have to find you.
Well, I think
Still
Julie
here.
just
Julie,
left.
are you still here?
Someone posted they had to leave.
Right.
Rusty has something.
Yeah.
If I may, this is a warning. I bought quite a few of these thinking they would be handy for beads, but the top of each one is the bottom of another one. If you remove them, you can lose the lot. And these little beads all over the floor is not to be recommended, because you can never find the darn things again. Anyway, that's what I don't recommend. What I do is I buy these, they're freezer boxes, the little ones you can keep your food in, and I label them all up. These ones are shaped seed beads, and I just keep them in my little pouches. That's one kind. They're all another kind. But in there are smaller ones where they're each separate colors, and let me try and put them down without losing a lot. Seed beads. These are mixes. And as you can see, they're all different colours, all different mixes. Simple, keeps them safe, keeps them dust free, and they don't go all over the floor that way. That's it. That's me done.
All right. Yeah, Julie had to leave. Okay, there's nothing else on paints and beads. We'll start with wallpaper.
I don't have one. I don't have one to show, but I've done beadwork for years, and mine are all seed beads. And I have seed beads all the way down to a 22/0, which is a very small seed bead. But I was lucky that when my father-in-law was alive, he was a photographer. And back then, when he was really into it, he had film canisters. And so he saved all his clear film canisters for me. And I still have bags with film canisters in them. When I find them, every so often I'll find a bag full of them. But if they don't come in a clear tube, because some of my seed beads come in a clear tube, but if they don't, they're in those film canisters, because you can pretty much see the color that they are, and then they never open. I've never had one open on me that I didn't open. So they're easy. If you can find them, they're good.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to wallpaper.
Wait. I have something
Okay,
I wanted
Valerie?
to add. Yeah. We were talking about different kind of containers. I have, I don't know if you can see them. This is I got this from American Science and Surplus. These are different, a whole bunch of
Those are nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are good
I
ones.
can't, but they're, but I have also in them.
How easy is it to take the lids off?
Very easy. Lids come off very easily, but having it kept in this container, it's, I put a little tape on it to make sure that it doesn't come flying apart. But I put the name and number or the description. You can't really read it on the little piece of paper, but I put that in the little container so I know if I want to go back and find them again. That I have like little round ones, but these are great for odds and ends. Like I have some 1/4-inch lamps in here too. So for the small little odds and ends, we were talking about like the different kind of fixtures. And so I did the same thing with this. I taped the name of it on the outside, so I know which color, size, or whatever I need. And these are just little containers that you get at Michael's for your paint. Or we talked at like the Dollar Tree store, there are these containers that come with a little lid, and you can put the name and number or whatever of whatever you have inside. And I have a bunch of little flat pieces of labels. So I kind of stack a whole bunch up together, and it saves space that way. And last, talked about, this is a storage container I got at Harbor Freight. And I think it was about $6 in that price range. The 25 individual containers about this size where you can still see what's inside. It has a little latch on it so that it would take a lot for them to open up. You could drop it and it wouldn't open up. So that's my advice.
I'm gonna have to look at Harbor Freight next time I go.
Yeah, it's
Me too.
yeah,
Okay. Jackie, you've got something on storage of wallpaper.
Yes, this is what I use, and I have a lot of them.
Wait a minute, let her pin you, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and binders.
I had, in doing genealogy, I bought I bought an entire box full of these clear storage document. They
The paper,
can buy them, you can put
protectors.
paper in here.
page
you know.
protectors, yeah.
Yes,
They're
So-
archival also,
right. So I
which is
bought
good.
many of those and I have a great many of these.
Yeah,
I had a whole lot of small notebooks, but I decided to get some larger ones and put most of, like this has got flooring of a different kind, like cobblestones and that, and then it's got brick. Of course, this is quarter scale. It's got brick and it's got a few types of bricks and colors and that kind of thing. And I actually have a lot of these. And I have wallpapers in them from different people that I purchased from the Betterleys. They're in red ones, black ones, and blue ones, and white ones. So this is the way that I have conquered my problem with the storage of wallpaper. And it works for me because I do quarter scale and I haven't figured out what to do with the 12 scale. I've got a lot of 12 scale that are down on the cabinet, but this is what I do for my quarter scale.
Okay, Preble.
Okay, spotlight my phone again. This time it should be looking good.
Okay, all I gotta do is find it. Okay, go to page 1. Okay, somebody, Barbara, you can find her.
Oh, Preble?
Yeah,
You
Preble.
can go to the participants list and you should be able to find.
That too. There you go. Well, okay, it's the other one.
Yeah, the other one won the
Oh,
phone.
the other one, sorry.
It's okay.
Be nice.
Sorry, I don't mean to
put
be
it together.
complicated.
She must be on the second page.
Rebel, I've been missing you. It's really good to see you here tonight. You're usually on and lately you just disappeared. And I just want to tell you, I've been missing you.
Okay.
Okay, found it.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So like Jackie, I do have the 3-ring binder, but what I did was, in addition to the sheet protectors, which I have a lot of those, I also am using this, which was a photo album page, or not page, but pages. Because I only had this one set, I and I only got one piece of paper, piece of each one. I kind of catty corner them so I can look at them without having to pull them all out. And I use this for all flat storage besides wallpaper. So let me get to somewhere in the back here. I'll get to it. Okay, so you can see I have silver things, and then here's some blue and purple, and here's some gold, and then even back here is some lace. So anything, and like here's a different style of the page protector that's, I think it was for like slides or a type of negative. So it's a whole sleeve, but it's 2 different sections. And that's the back, the regular kind. But then I also have, this is a different type of 3-ring binder. Oh, wait a minute, let me show you this one. This is just a smaller 3-ring binder. They're selling them for like recipes or for journal, planners. And then these are very similar to what you would see for photos. But I think these were actually sold for recipes, but you can see here's some wallpaper, but here's some other stuff that's not wallpaper. And I'm just, whatever, I'll probably organize it once I get more of this, of different more of the same thing. Get them, you know, move them around. This last one that I want to show you is called a case binder. The difference between case binder and a regular binder. See how that's open versus this is almost, it's like a box. This does come in different sizes. And it has a plastic. I think they even sell some of them now that are metal, but this is also for wallpaper, especially for like smaller scales. But these are rugs. And what I did, these are business card size, which not that we see much of business cards anymore. But I just have a piece of paper. Could be those business cards if you had a bunch of them. And I use double stick tape to hold them in place so that I can, when I look through them, I'm not all jumbled together. And then you can see, you know, just the regular sheet protector. For 1-inch or 12th scale wallpaper, I don't have it with me, but I'll describe it. It's basically, it's 2 pieces of mat board that, you know, fold together, and I just glued ribbon around the outside so I could tie it together. And that way I could have those big sheets of wallpaper protected, but you know, and then that I did end up having to add newspaper along one edge so that if when it slid between them, and you know, because I stood it on its end, that the wallpaper where the ribbon wasn't damaged in the wallpaper. So make a folder like thing with mat board or cardboard, and then put ribbon around it to tie it together. Is how I do the 1-inch. All right, that's it.
Okay. Shirley.
Well, obviously you can't see what I do because my camera's acting up. But a number of years ago, Whitman Sampler had the big 2-pound box that was like about 2 feet long. And it has a nice little lid that opens up on it like a hinged lid. And the 1-inch wallpaper fits in there just perfectly.
It's good enough.
And I got to eat 2 pounds of chocolates too. That's all I have.
Okay, Linda Patterson. Now I gotta find you.
Linda is muted.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't show you my system because it's in the basement and I am not, but I can easily describe it. Years ago, I found cabinets actually at Kroger Marketplace that has short little drawers, and they are exactly fit a piece of wallpaper. And I had a shop in my home for years. So I have over 100 different styles of wallpaper. And I did a notebook with the sheet protectors. And for each one that came in, I just gave it a number, 1 through over 100, whatever I have. And I put the sample in the notebook with the name and size and all the information. And then I kept the wallpaper in the sleeve that it comes in when you buy 3 or more pieces at a time. And I put that whole thing in the drawers. So my customers could sit down and flip through the notebook and find what they liked. And then I could easily go to the drawer. And I had like the first drawer 1 through 25, and then 26 through 50, and that kind of thing. So I have a lot.
Right. Okay, Sharita.
Okay, let me switch my camera around. For the beads, I forgot to put it in the chat, but I do these photo boxes if you have larger quantity of beads, because I do a lot of beads for vases. So sometimes I get the photo boxes. Otherwise, they used to be by Doris, but now I got them at Michael's recently, but it was like a bulk price for, I think it was 8 of them. I forgot how much it was. But these little boxes, and I use these for my petals and also beads for vases too. In these, it comes with 2 of these large ones, and then a bunch of the one to the right, and then it comes with some little smaller ones. But the whole thing is full of these little boxes when you get it. But I really like these because you could just carry this wherever if you traveling somewhere. And then for the paper, when I paint paper for making flowers, I organize it in these little accordion things by color. So I have this one is my reds and pinks and oranges and things like that. I got one for blues, greens, and yellows, whites, and all that. So I got accordion thing for all the different colors with all the paper that I've already spray painted. And for the wall, the scrapbook paper or wallpaper or whatever I'm using for miniatures, I put it just in the scrapbook boxes here, and I label for what it is. Some of it is, cork but I try to label it so that I can find it. But that's how I store the paper and the beads.
Okay, do we have tips of putting wallpaper on structures?
Well, I read this, that Paula Isaacs puts the glue on the wall instead of the paper. And when I started doing that, it certainly did make my life a lot simpler.
Well, yeah. It's a lot less messy that way for me. I do that. And I only just started doing that.
I've always done that. So I don't like putting it on the paper because then it wrinkles.
If you put, those Yoo-hoo sticks, the solid glue sticks for paper, if you put a coating of that on the back of your wallpaper, it gives you that little bit extra time. Put your glue on your walls, yes, but then use this on the back and it'll slip a little bit easier and you can get it positioned. It doesn't make the wallpaper wrinkled.
Anybody else here use Yes Glue or Yes?
Yes,
Not if I can help
I
it.
do.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of that one right now.
However, I do thin it down with warm water. I don't like it real stiff. But I learned that from Brooke Tucker years ago.
I've had mine for years, my Yes Glue, and I put a wet paper towel in the little container with it, and it has kept it for years.
But I have had my glue in the container get moldy.
Ew.
I haven't had that yet.
I have had that happen. It's not pretty. Not
Yeah,
pretty.
That's why I didn't use it anymore because of that.
So what do you use instead?
Just like the tacky glue or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I use, is tacky. But it does take you have to be prepared for mistakes.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for mistakes, then don't use tacky.
Well, that's why I use those glue sticks on the back as well.
I like those glue sticks. I used those too recently. And if it's a good glue, the first ones I got would not hold good. They actually.
Yeah, they don't hold good, that school glue.
The later ones I have gotten though have helped they help pretty good.
Yeah.
I've used the just Elmer school glue sticks.
Right.
And like Rusty says, I put both on the back of the wallpaper and on the wood. And like she says, it does give you a little bit of wiggle room so that if you don't quite have it in the right place, you can move it just a little bit. you know, not a lot, but a little bit, and it's held good for me.
Yeah.
And you can put it on the wall too, just like you do the other glue. You can put that stick glue. You don't have to put it on the paper. You can put it on the wall.
Well, the idea though, of putting it both on the paper and the wall is that it lets it slide just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that you can move it around. If you put it on only one of the surfaces, I don't think you can move it too well.
No.
Well, and your wood has a potential of absorbing the water from your glue. So by putting it on both surfaces, you're more likely to avoid that issue. But your wood could actually absorb all of the water and then cause the glue to crack, as in it not
That's why I use both.
form a good
Yeah.
seal.
I don't know whether
So I
anybody
don't-
else.
I like to paint my wood depending on what kind of wood it is. So high quality wood that's really doesn't need hardly sanded, you would, you know, you could put the glue directly on it. But if it's depend on some of the houses, that are the kits, what I found was that those needed to be painted to seal the wood, and then I could put my glue on the wall and then also on the paper.
Don't know whether anybody else, but I've started actually cutting to the corners. I used to wrap it round as one does with ordinary wallpaper, but I find that I push too hard and then tear the paper. So now I just cut to the corner and then start again, coming back on the other way.
Yeah, a lot of the kits, when they give you the wallpaper, gives it each wall as a separate piece.
Mm.
So that would do the same sort of thing.
You got to watch it on stripes, but most of the other wallpapers you would never know.
Okay, Pat Craig, and you're muted.
Still muted.
While she's muted, I'll say good night, girls. It's
Oh, good night,
Rusty.
early in the morning. Thank you very much.
Bye
for a
bye,
lovely
Rusty.
evening. Very
Bye-bye, Rusty.
informative.
Bye, Russ.
Bye.
Bye, girls.
Yeah, I take my wallpaper and I put it through my Xyron machine. And so I turn it essentially into a giant sticker and I use that and put it on. Sometimes I need to have it more repositionable than with that. So I go along with the people that are using glue stick. Ever since I did Never Was with Michelle Miller, and she recommended that I have been using it. And I too wrap the wallpaper at the corner. So I will crease the edge of the wallpaper, the amount that I want to wrap it around. You know, before I put the glue stick on it. So that's.
So you use the glue stick and the Krylon? I mean,
No. Sometimes when I have used the Xyron.
I mean, the Xyron.
Yeah. It's not as forgiving. It's not as repositionable. It has a very good hold and I like using it most of the time. But if I feel that I might want to have a little bit of wiggle room, that's when I use the glue stick. But like I say,
or by itself.
No, just the glue stick. Just the glue stick, yeah. And I do like to wrap it a little at the corner because I put on, you know, real live wallpaper in my house. And that's what I always do on the corners is wrap it a little so you don't show the seam. Another thing that's a good idea if you don't want to show seams is to paint the background, paint the wall the same color as the majority of what the wallpaper is. So that if you do happen to have a little bit of an opening, you've got that paint in the background. There you go, that's it.
Okay, one thing I found on a painting wallpaper, but this more for 1 inch, but it could be reduced in size, is your like Home Depot, and we have a Jerry's, it's an independent here. And every once in a while they'll put this wallpaper sample books out where you can just pick them up for free.
Yeah.
And there's some that will be in those books that can be used for the smaller scales and all. Okay, any other tips and hints on putting wallpaper on or obtaining wallpaper, printing wallpaper, anything to do with wallpaper?
Oh, another type of thing that I have used in the past too is I have a bottle of, or a little tube of seam adhesive, which is what you use for real wallpaper if you're trying to repair a seam. So sometimes I use that for adhesive also. And it's small and it stays moist. And I just like everything better than Yes.
Oh, really? I just love Yes. I've never had trouble with it. It's so funny that people hate Yes.
It could have to do with your level of humidity.
It could. And it has to do with if you don't thin it, it's just not spreadable and it's horrible to work with and it gets lumpy. So fresh out of the bottle, it's okay, but once you've used it and then close it again, it gets thicker and thicker. So it says to add water if you want it thinner. And so that's what I do. And I get it to a really thick, syrupy.
I've heard some people say that they actually microwave it.
Except that after you've microwaved it, you can't use it again. It dries out, it gets really cruddy. So I don't do that.
Yeah, I haven't tried that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or leave, if you moisten it, then maybe leaving a damp paper towel in on the top layer. But I always have trouble with it drying out.
I don't put the
think it would
water
get
into the
moldy.
large can of it, the large jar of it. I remove it into another jar because that large jar, as I said, it can get moldy.
I think the wet paper towel would tend to make it get moldy.
Well, I would think so, but I think if you have it in a separate container, then it wouldn't be so bad.
I use filtered water and I haven't had a problem with it getting moldy.
Yeah.
We filter our water here several times, so I haven't had any problems with it.
Okay, anything else on wallpaper? Any tricks about reducing sizes for smaller scales of patterns and all?
Never try to trim it around windows and stuff until it's completely dry, because it will just tear.
When you're cleaning off wallpaper where you've put it on and then you cut the windows out, if you use an emery board to go along the edge of the window, that'll give you a very clean edge.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will stop the recording.
When you're cutting out the windows or even wallpaper at all, always use a really sharp blade because it's less likely to tear, and it's better to have the wallpaper itself against whatever you're cutting against. So like flip it over if you can, or hold something up to that window, a mat, your cutting mat or whatever, even foam core would be better. That way you're cutting against something as opposed to just poking it and then cutting against the wood or the wall itself.